Verstappen's retirement was a shocker, and Ferrari seized the chance, clinching a 1-2 finish. Post-race, Perez took a swipe at Red Bull, claiming they'd still lose even if Verstappen finished. Are these concerns a sign of Red Bull slipping dominance, or just baseless fretting? What Perez said after the race. Sergio Perez felt that Ferrari would have won the Australian Grand Prix even if Max Verstappen hadn't faced mechanical issues early on. Verstappen, starting from pole position, led initially but suffered from a brake problem, allowing Carlos Sainz to take the lead for Ferrari. Despite starting 6th due to a penalty, Perez couldn't make significant progress and finished 5th behind both Ferraris and the McLarens of Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. Perez expressed disappointment with his team's performance, citing a lack of pace throughout the weekend. He mentioned struggling with the management since Friday's practice sessions and highlighted Ferrari's strength, particularly on tracks like Albert Park, where front tyre management is crucial. In terms of team performance, we just weren't up to par today, Perez stated to Sky after the race. We've been grappling with pace issues since Friday, unable to get a handle on tyre management. It's crucial for us to understand and enhance our performance. Ferrari's dominance, especially on tracks like this, where front tyre management is key, has been evident since last year. When asked if Max Verstappen could have defended against Ferrari even without his race-ending issue, Sergio Perez firmly believed that Ferrari would have still emerged victorious. He expressed certainty in Ferrari's superiority, emphasizing that they struggled early on and that both Ferrari and McLaren seemed to have an edge over their team. Perez pointed out their difficulty in finding the right balance throughout the weekend, attributing it partly to the unique track surface. He acknowledged the need for improvement in managing grip levels for future races. Horner's thoughts. After the race concluded, Red Bull team boss Christian Horner radioed Sergio Perez to apologize for their performance, saying, "Not our best race, Checo. Sorry about that. We've got plenty of lessons to learn from today." However, Horner later revealed that Perez's car, the RB20, had suffered damage to its floor during an overtaking move on Fernando Alonso. This damage significantly reduced the car's downforce, which affected its performance. Horner mentioned that Perez might not have been aware of the issue during the race. The loss of downforce not only impacted the car's handling, but also led to increased tyre degradation, particularly towards the end of the stints. Horner admitted that this was an unusual problem for their cars and emphasized the need to investigate the cause of the damage to prevent similar issues in the future. Verstappen's thoughts. Max Verstappen clarified that a problem with his right rear brake, which arose at the start of the Australian Grand Prix, led to his early exit from the race. Despite starting smoothly from pole position, he lost ground to Carlos Sainz on lap 2 due to the issue. Smoke emerging from his RB20 signaled trouble, prompting Verstappen to cautiously return to the pits and retire from the race, marking his first non-finish in 2 years. Reflecting on his retirement, Verstappen acknowledged the disappointment, stating, "Yeah, it's not ideal. Of course, you always want to finish the races, but it's a mechanical sport. These things unfortunately happen, but I think it's the most important that we understand why it happened." Verstappen's last DNF occurred at the Australian Grand Prix in 2022. He was asked about the frustration of experiencing his first retirement since then. Additionally, Lewis Hamilton faced a similar fate, retiring due to a mechanical issue on lap 17, indicating that mechanical failures affected multiple drivers during the race. Red Bull's downfall. The current challenge for Red Bull lies in their longing for what Ferrari possesses, two highly skilled drivers they can rely on during tough times. In Melbourne, Sergio Perez struggled to get close to the top 3, a stark contrast to his teammates' consistent top finishes in the 2023 season. While Perez did encounter difficulties overtaking Alonso, resulting in a damaged floor and reduced downforce, this issue was openly acknowledged by Christian Horner, as mentioned earlier. However, finishing 40 seconds behind the leading pack is deemed unacceptable for a team accustomed to dominating early races. Additionally, Max Verstappen addressed the incident with minimal concern, emphasizing the urgency of finding a solution. His intense reaction during the exchange with the engineer is typical of his straightforward nature. Even if he had maintained a substantial lead despite the issue, Verstappen would likely have expressed frustration, as is his usual demeanor. However, this interaction alone isn't sufficient to prompt discussions about potential unrest within Red Bull. Nonetheless, Ferrari's SF 2024 closely matching Red Bull's performance suggests that Red Bull has yet to reach its full potential in 2024. Moreover, during the Melbourne race weekend, Max Verstappen made a decision to switch to a second power unit engine. This choice came after a recent alteration of the exhaust system in Jeddah. While regulations permit up to 8 changes to specific components, when an entire power unit is replaced, the exhaust system is also swapped out. Although Verstappen's engine didn't sustain any damage and could have been preserved for future races, the decision to change engines mid-season might spark concerns about the car's reliability. Verstappen, however, dismissed these worries. He explained that during free practice sessions, he encountered a situation where he ran over a curb. As a precautionary measure, the team opted to closely monitor the engine and decided to switch it out to prevent any potential issues from arising. During free practice, I ran over a curb. The mechanics wanted to change the engine just to be sure. We could have continued driving with the other engine, but they wanted the new one just to be sure. Regarding his retirement from the race, Verstappen admitted that the issue needs immediate attention. He expressed hope that similar incidents would be avoided in the future. Verstappen felt disappointed about missing out on a potential victory, especially since he was confident in the car's balance leading up to the race. Despite the setback, he understood that mechanical failures are part of the sport and stressed the importance of figuring out the root cause of the problem to prevent it from happening again. Looking back on the team's past strong performances and reliability, Verstappen acknowledged that setbacks are bound to happen in racing. He expressed disappointment at having to retire, but highlighted the significance of learning from this experience to improve in the future. I'm disappointed with not being able to finish the race because I think we would have had a good shot at winning because the balance felt quite nice on the laps to the grid. I felt confident and made a good improvement compared to what I felt in the long run when we did in practice. But yeah, there are some things you cannot control. We had a lot of good races in a row, a lot of good reliability, and I knew that the day would come that you would end up having a retirement, and unfortunately, that day was today. Of course, you never like to see it happen to your team, but that is in the past, and now it's more important that we understand why it happened. Despite these challenges, the Austrian team now finds themselves with only one engine remaining for the rest of the season. If they require additional engines beyond that, they could encounter grid penalties. In past seasons, this situation didn't impact Verstappen significantly, but the circumstances might be different in 2024. With McLaren once considered to have difficulties and the Ferraris closely trailing Red Bull, the competition dynamics could shift. Can Ferrari step up their game? As the Imola race approaches, the Maranello team is getting ready, viewing it as their home race following Monza. They're optimistic about the upgrades they're bringing, believing it will greatly influence their future direction. There's a general feeling that Ferrari is getting closer to matching Verstappen's speed, but needs one final push to get there. It's evident that Perez isn't quite at the level for winning races, especially given his recent performance in Melbourne. After his disappointing showing there, questions about his position in the team might start arising again. While it might seem too early to speculate further, considering Daniel Ricciardo as a potential replacement doesn't look promising, given his struggles at Racing Bulls, where he's notably overshadowed by Tsunoda. This situation could pose challenges for Red Bull's future, especially if they're thinking about the second driver position. Additionally, there's a lingering concern about what would happen if, by some unlikely turn of events, Verstappen decides to leave, which could significantly affect the team's prospects. With the Imola race approaching, Red Bull faces a significant challenge from Ferrari. Ferrari plans to introduce a controversial design change focused on cooling inlets near the side pod area, reminiscent of designs seen on past Mercedes cars. This indicates a notable shift, especially considering Red Bull had to adjust their design to avoid vulnerability. Meanwhile, Ferrari and McLaren have both improved their platforms from last season and are eager to introduce upgrades to narrow the gap to Red Bull. The rest of the 2024 season promises interesting developments, potentially leading to captivating racing moments that could intensify the championship battle. Many wonder if Red Bull's dominance is waning. Could Ferrari become the next dominant force in Formula One? Share your thoughts in the comments below and remember to like and subscribe for more updates.